Hey guys, M2 Collector here with another figure review. Next up is the Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series number 80, the G.I. Joe Ralph Nunchuk BADDUCCI? I think it's pronounced BADDUCCI. That's right. That sounds pretty Italian. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly or not. But anyway, here we have the Nunchuk figure. So this one has been a weird one. This one was regular release, right? All the other figures from that wave, I believe, have released, except for this one here in the United States. It has released overseas because, of course, I got mine from FigureGrail_USA on Instagram. Link in the video description below for his Instagram account. Make sure you are following him and be on the lookout for his G.I. Joe action figure sales posts in his story, his Instagram story, because he gets these imported in from overseas and he has them available before they become available in the US. Like I got all the Walmart exclusives and things like that. So make sure you're following FigureGrail_USA. If you're looking for import figures, he's also your guy. FigureGrail.com. Go to his website for any of like the import figures, so Figuarts, MFX, that sort of thing. So I got Nunchuk from him and 3 other figures which we've already taken a look at. So here we have the Nunchuk figure. This is pretty cool. He's another ninja. Gives me another reason to open up some of these other figures. Like I never really opened up Kamakura. I mean I did, but I never actually took him out of the box at all. I just like cut the tape and then that was it. But so I have him now and he's pretty cool. We're going to take a look and compare with all the other ninjas. So that includes like Storm Shadow. That includes the Red Ninja. That includes Snake Eyes. That includes Vipra. Target exclusive, which I just opened up just for this video as well. I've had that sitting around. And then a couple of others, right? Because we got a bunch of ninjas now. So we also got a blue ninja. And we also have another blue ninja. So lots of ninjas, and I like ninja figures. They are very fun and very cool. So lots of ninjas to take a look at. So that's going to be exciting and fun. As I pile up all these figures over here off to the side. But here we have Nunchuk. He's got a fair amount of accessories, which are pretty cool. He's got these badass swords. These swords are pretty unique. You've got some serrated edges on this backside, which is good. Nice silver color paint for the blade. A little bit of green there, and you got the hilt there, just this grayish color. We actually get 2 of those swords. They are the same sword, so that is cool. We got 2 nunchucks. You know, someone codenamed Nunchuk. You gotta have nunchucks, right? So soft rubber, you can kind of move them around and stuff. They're very, very thin. Like look at that, it's super rubbery. But they're not like molded like how some would be molded. You know, Marvel Legends has them. They're like molded like that. These are soft, so you can kind of mess around and position them in certain ways, which is actually better. So we have those there. We do get 1 knife here. This is just done in this dark gray color. No silver for the blade, which would have been nice, but that's kind of cool, I guess. And then he has these claw pieces, which you could put onto his hand, so it just like fits over his hand. He would hold on to it, and then he becomes Wolverine type of thing. So that is pretty cool. He's got 2 of those. So those are the accessories that he comes with. The other piece, I guess, the accessory is this part for his bandana, which is I've already poured it in. It's a separate piece. And then one thing that I'm just now noticing, there's a little bit of different color at the end there. So that's kind of cool that they added a little bit of detail there, so it could be blown in the wind. You can move it off to the side. You could swivel it around, do what you want with it, kind of thing. Oh, and then it came right off. So I will put that back on. But first, let's kind of get over the package. Artwork of Nunchuk looks pretty cool. We got the QR code that's not going to do you any good. The artwork for Nunchuk there does look pretty awesome. Here on the back of the package, we see all the loadout that he comes with. Again, not a crazy amount of stuff, but pretty good there. Not sure why this hasn't released in the US. It's been kind of weird. I think Amazon shows it at like a December release or something crazy. I think it's been like going back and forth on the release. So not sure what's going on, but I think this was that same wave, right? Where all the other figures have already released. But anyway, you know, Figure Grail, I was able to secure it and get it, and now have it here for you guys to review. So let's get into it. Alright, so I'm going to get this back on there. When you want to swivel it around, that's when it kind of pops off on its own. But you can see it's got this little rubber ball at the end. And you just have to pour it in there and just kind of force it. When you swivel it, that's when it becomes loose and wants to kind of fall out. So we have it there. But there is Nunchuk, and that looks pretty good. This piece is all one piece. Does this come off? I don't think this comes off. That does not come off. That is keyed into the head sculpt. That is not coming off, so you're not going to have just like the mask look for it. You have that look. So, and it's kind of sculpted in a certain way where it folds over his right shoulder and just kind of flows over his left shoulder. That looks pretty good. He's kind of got this army, you know, fatigue look there, camouflage, I guess, throughout the whole entire figure, which looks pretty good. He's got the armor pieces, so he's got these gauntlet pieces for his forearms. He's got these shoulder armors. He's got the bandolier, so you can have storage for the knife, so that will sheath in right there. He's got a little grenade there. He's got sheaths for his swords. We'll port those in, or plug those in here shortly. And then you got the boots down there, so not too shabby. These swords are pretty crazy, so probably want to go in this way. Probably don't want to go in that way, because that is not going in at all that way, so let's try this way. Yeah, I guess, there we go. It's going to go like that, because that's the only way that it really would have worked to go in. I mean, the blades being exposed like that seems kind of dangerous, right? I mean, they're just kind of out there. Might want to be careful there, right? And then looking at these claw pieces here, so these are pretty cool. So you can kind of, you have to wrap his hands in there and then push it back. So there, you can have these claw pieces. So he's kind of reminding me of Shredder, right? Anyone else getting Shredder vibes? Maybe just me? I'm totally getting Shredder vibes. But he has the two, so you can have one for the left hand, one for the right hand. And then, of course, you have, you know, the nunchucks. So looking at the nunchucks, the cool thing about that is because they are super soft and rubbery. So, you know, if he's holding on to them, you have to, like, force them in there into his hands, because they're like so soft and rubbery. But you can do all kinds of things in your posing and get them in all kinds of directions, which is really nice that they went really soft with that. If you look closely at it, they kind of remind me of like the ones that came with Shang-Chi, the comic figure, and Deadpool. It looks like there's actually like a dragon like detail or something on the very end of there, or maybe it's a snake. Actually looks more like a snake, I would say. So it looks like there's a little bit of fangs in there, so that's kind of cool. Anyway, there's Nunchuk. Now let's go ahead and see his articulation. Okay, actually, before I get in for the closer look, I did forget to mention that you can store all the weapons. So not only do the swords sheath in there, and you know, you can have the claws on the hands. The nunchucks do store on the back of his belt. But not gonna lie, they're a little bit of a pain in the ass, because again, they're very soft rubber, extremely soft and flexible. And then the open snake mouth that's in there, sometimes kind of fitting them into this hole, you just have to force it and kind of, you know, when kind of forcing it, it's rubbery, so it starts to bend and stuff, and you don't really want to do it. It's just a little bit more tedious than, you know, would be preferred. But there we go. So you can have all weapons stored on the figure, which is always a nice plus with the G.I. Joe Classified Series line. Not every figure can do that, but most of them can. So it's always nice when they can. Okay, so for articulation's sake, I took all the accessories and everything off of Kamakura so we can get a better look at kind of exactly how it can move without some of the things being in the way. Head sculpt, you get a full rotation in there. You can do some pivot. The neck is on a separate piece, so you can move the neck down a little bit. Looks like it's kind of chewing into the torso, so be careful there. You can get Nunchuk to look up. So much, and then look down so much there. The shoulders, you can get the shoulders to go up. The shoulder armor, the pauldrons, they will move up with it. Why can't I get that left shoulder up? So I can get the right to go straight on out, but the left shoulder, I'm having a harder time getting up. That pauldron doesn't want to go with it. I'm going to force it a little bit. Well, you can't get the shoulders to go out that much. That was way more work than it should have been. Full rotation in there. Butterfly joint that only goes back so far, so not a whole lot, and then only comes forward so far as well. Just a little tiny bit, the crossbody, ever so slight, right? There is an upper bicep swivel in there. The shoulder armor is very high on it, so the swivel, that shoulder armor is just going to kind of hit it's there, but you can do the swivel, it gets in the way. Double jointed elbow, pinless. It's just like fused together. There we go. So that much bend there at the elbow. wrist swivel, and they do hinge. Vertical hinge on this. Both have trigger finger hands, even though he doesn't have any, well, not trigger. The left is a trigger finger hand, the right is not a trigger finger hand, but both have the vertical hinge. I almost wish they would have had the horizontal hinge because of the nunchucks. I feel like it gets it a little bit trickier when trying to position them in certain ways with that wrist. You have ab crunch, so he can crunch forward that much. He can crunch back way too far. There is the ball joint at the waist, which gives us the swivel there. It doesn't really allow for a whole lot of tilt, though, unfortunately. So, like, even with the ball joint at the waist, I'm trying to tilt, and he can only tilt so much. Going right, he can only tilt so much as well. So just a heads up on that. We do have the drop-down hips, as you can see there. So with the drop-down hips, you can get the legs to do full-on splits. Get them positioned back. Kick forward, you can kick forward that far. The leg goes back actually quite a bit. You got an upper thigh cut in there. Pinless double jointed knee. And they are very, very stiff. Look at that, I almost pulled the boot off. So that much bend there on the knee. They are pinless. Again, we got a boot swivel there. Foot hinges down all the way. You get some hinge up, ankle pivot, peg holes at the bottom of the feet. So pretty good articulation. The belt doesn't really want to stay below the waist, and that's where you want to keep it. So it gets a little bit tricky. So he has pretty good movement. Is he super agile like some of the other ninja figures? No, not quite. But I think he works out quite well. But let's see how he compares with all the other ninjas. Okay, so for the Joes, we have Snake Eyes, of course, Snake Eyes Apprentice, Kamakura, and then now we have Nunchuk. So there are our 3 different ninjas. Okay, and so here, Nunchuk, we have next to the Red Ninja and the Blue Ninja, which were basically the same exact figures, just, different colors. Okay, and then here with the female Blue Ninja and the Python Patrol Vipra, which is a pretty nice figure because it now has double jointed elbows, whereas the Akiko figure / Blue Ninja did not have double jointed elbows. A Vipra does. Last but not least, here we have Storm Shadow next to Nunchuk, and I threw in Snake Eyes because if you're going to have Storm Shadow, and you got to have Snake Eyes too, right? Yeah, I think so. Okay, so there is the Nunchuk figure, and he is a pretty good one. Again, weird that why he hasn't gotten a full wide release here in the US at all. It just seems crazy to me because the wave that he was a part of, that's already like hit stores, hit online retailers, all of that. Nunchuk, for whatever reason, seems to be taking longer. I'm not really sure. But solid figure for sure. The swords fit a little loose in the hands. Not the greatest. The claws are pretty cool. I think a silver color for these blade pieces would have been nice. The nunchucks, I like how soft they are, but then also at the same time hate how soft they are because they're just super rubbery, so trying to get them into his hands are a little bit trickier. If they're hard plastic, you just snap them into the place, but because they're rubber, it just doesn't work out quite as well. But definitely a solid figure. He does reuse some of the parts from Storm Shadow, so the upper torso is the same as Kamakura. It is the same as Storm Shadow. He actually looks like he has the same legs. So the actual bottom half of him is the same as Storm Shadow. So actually, it's mostly Storm Shadow, just different, just different arms and a head sculpt. So solid figure though. I like the ninja figures. They're really awesome. So anytime I get to add to them, is always a nice touch. So you guys let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of this Nunchuk figure? Have you seen it released anywhere? Are you waiting for yours too? Make sure to hit up FigureGrail_USA on Instagram. He may still have some available if you're looking to get one. Otherwise, I'm sure at some point they will release here in the US. But you guys let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you guys like this video, please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. If you're interested in supporting the channel, hit that join button to become a channel member and be a part of the MCU Collective. And as always, thank you for watching.